The Golden Gate Bridge is an iconic landmark in San Francisco. Completed in 1937, the bridge is over 80 years old and sees over 10 million visitors each year. What would happen if the mile-and-a-half-long structure fell into the Pacific Ocean? Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that looks to answer a whole multitude of queries. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm asking, what if the Golden Gate Bridge collapsed? Before I get into this video, I want to hear from you guys. What is your nearest landmark? Nearest to me is the CN Tower in Toronto. I've had dinner up there. It's pretty great. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and also please do leave a thumbs up on this video if you like this kind of content. Do stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to be reading out some comments you've left on a previous one. So, the Golden Gate Bridge, one of the most iconic tourist attractions in the world. The bridge physically connects San Francisco to Northern California and stretches over a mile-and-a-half long. So let's talk worst case scenario here. There are 10 million visitors to the bridge each year, which would put the average daily visitor at around 27,000 people, although in the summer months they are busier. Let's take a bit of a stab in the dark and say that in the summer the number of daily visitors is above average at around 35,000 a day. That would mean on average around 1,458 visitors an hour, but then not many people would visit at night, so let's say at peak time in the day there are around 2,000 people visiting per hour. Whether or not they're on the bridge, they're likely to still be in and around the area, as are a whole bunch of other people in the park surrounding. Similarly, the Golden Gate Bridge carries a whole load of cars. There are around 112,000 vehicles that use the bridge each day, and at rush hour we could be seeing around 8,000 cars an hour, so maybe say 300 to 500 at a time. The bridge can hold pedestrians and cyclists as well as cars, so if the bridge collapsed, especially at peak times, there would be a lot of bodies and vehicles in the water, as well as a lot of bridge debris. The water under the Golden Gate Bridge is 300 meters deep, which means people who sink in their cars, well, they would very much sink in their cars. The people who fell into the water would likely drown or die as a result of the fall. It's 220 feet down from the deck. Of the 1,700 people who have willingly jumped off the deck in suicide bids, just 30 of them have survived the fall. This would mean the aftermath would likely be a recovery effort rather than a rescue. Those who do survive the fall may be susceptible to hypothermia, or those much famed sharks who supposedly offed people who tried to escape from Alcatraz. There are indeed great white sharks in the water. Speaking of Alcatraz and the nearby area, it isn't only people on the bridge who would be affected. It is likely the fall would create tidal waves that would affect tourists on Alcatraz Island, Angel Island State Park, Treasure Island, people on sightseeing boats, people in nearby parks or on both sides of the bridge, people by the wave organ. They could be swept into the water too. It would be chaos. The death toll would likely be in the high hundreds at the very minimum, but in the thousands at a maximum, which would make it one of the biggest disasters on American soil in the modern era. The president, currently Donald Trump, would conduct an emergency press meeting and perhaps would be flown to a safe location, depending on the nature of the attack. Now, thinking about that, how could it collapse? Why? The Golden Gate Bridge is a successful feat of architecture, and it's regularly checked and maintained. If it simply fell down, structurally something would have gone very, very wrong, and there would likely be criminal responsibility or negligence somewhere along the line. Someone, if not a number of people, could go to jail. But I really don't think this bridge is coming down by accident. If it falls down, I would imagine someone intended it to, which would make it some kind of terror attack. If the result is as anticipated, it could be a worse attack than 9/11. If that were the case, the issue would be wide and far-reaching depending on who was found responsible. Think of it this way, the 9/11 attack sparked the war on terror and the war in Iraq. Punishment would be severe with very painful consequences. So how could such an attack even happen without anyone noticing? Well, you might be surprised. In April 2017, two teenagers from Wisconsin climbed the North Tower. They were not noticed by security guards at the time. They posted about it on YouTube weeks later, which was the first time anyone realized what they did, so that's pretty worrying. I wonder if anyone ever thought about it historically, for example when mobster Al Capone or Alvin Karpis or Arthur Baker were imprisoned there. What if there was a plot to blow up the bridge to break them out in some kind of decoy distraction? Elaborate, but you know. I guess it could maybe have happened. Would it have affected the infamous currents that made escape so hard? One can only wonder. So, long story short, if the Golden Gate Bridge collapsed, it would be awful and expensive to rebuild. San Fran would lose its iconic landmark, and depending on the perpetrator, it could lead to war. Let's honestly hope it never happens and it continues to stand a pretty golden gate in a pretty golden state. Guys, do let me know what you think to this video in the comments section down below, and don't forget to let me know what your nearest landmark is. Before I get out of here, I'm just gonna read some comments from one of my most recent videos, What if Earth was the size of the moon? Well, well, well. Miles James flipped it around and said, what if the moon was the size of the Earth? Where does it end, Miles? Where does it end? I guess I actually did kind of answer that a bit in the video when I talked about us being moon size. Then we would be the same size as the moon. It would basically be a lot of crazy gravity and crazy tides, and you wouldn't like it. My favourite comment was from the immortal super being, who said, what if Rebecca had a rap battle with Jack Finch? Do you know what? I think Rebecca would win. That's what hot got back. Like baby. Okay, enough of that. I'm really, really bad. Cringe, cringe, cringe. But leave me a thumbs up anyway. Thank you. I am your host, Rebecca Felgate. I'll catch you in the next video. But until then, stay curious, stay alert, and never ever stop questioning.